In the never-ending research for inspiration, bass lines, melodies, other musical rhythmical elements are probably for some people some of the biggest struggles. When I come across something that can make that process a bit less of a pain, it is my job to share it with you. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video I want to show you two new Max for Live devices designed by Alex Kidd. The first one is called Peach and it's a polyrhythmic arpeggiator. The second one is called Polyloop and it's a polyrhythmic polyphonic sequencer. Let's see how you can use them to generate new ideas. Just so you know, if by the end of the video you like these devices and you want to get them, at the moment you find them discounted for the Black Friday deals. Also, if you like the video, consider giving a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed yet. Let's get it started. I am a big fan of arpeggiators. Whenever I found a good preset on a synth which also has an integrated arpeggiator, I like to experiment by see how the arpeggiator interacts with the note, with the way I change the notes, with the way I take breaks during the sequence. But sometimes the synth that I'm using doesn't have an arpeggiator or simply it's too complicated to program. I don't feel like going too much into the synth. On the other side, we have Ableton Live arpeggiator, which is a little bit too simple. It doesn't have a lot of parameters. Sometimes I think it's a bit too basic. That's why I like Peach, because it's designed in a way that it's easy to set and at the same time it gives you all those controls that allows you to get not so obvious sequences, and most than everything it gives you that serendipity factor through randomization and polyrhythms. So the design is similar to the typical Alex Kidd sequencers, so we are kind of comfortable with the interface. Here I'm working on a track. It's a remix for my friend Norwin P. I just started it out. I need to find a quick bass line, so I wanted to try Peach arpeggiator. So the way a simple arpeggiator works is like this. So I give a note, a continuous note. You can see we are 4 rows. The first one are the gates, the second one are the octave offsets, velocity and chance. Okay, so if I play this as it is, this is what I hear. Something that I always play. One thing that I can change also on the other arpeggiators sometimes is the chance of playing a particular step of the sequence of the arpeggio. If I randomize this, sometimes the note is not played. But what this is better than the Ableton arpeggiator, for example, is that they have the possibility of switching off some of the steps like this. So the sequence gets a little bit more interesting. It's not just having the whole note played for the whole time, but I can have some breaks from it. So the second row, as you can see, is the octave offset. So for each step, I can decide which octave I can play. And with the third row, I can randomize or set the velocity for each step, but in this case, velocity is not affecting the patch that I'm using. Let's see how we can use this in a very interesting way, and that's the way that I like to use arpeggiator. So here I have already Peach set to play a certain thing. So if I set down a single note, again, this is what I hear. Okay, so with the drums, that's what I have. Okay, but what if I start to mess with the sequence and play some different notes? For example, I start with this, then I go down here. now I have a bass line which is way more interesting for two reasons. The first one is that I changed the notes, so even if I didn't have the arpeggiator, this would be better than just having a single note, of course. But introducing the arpeggiator, I bounce around different octaves for each note, which gives a very nice funky effect in my opinion. On top of this, I am introducing breaks. So if I play a long note, still I have some breaks during it because not all of the steps are played. Now let's briefly talk about the polyrhythmic function. So as you can see here, each row of my arpeggiator has a number here which says, okay, I'm playing 8 steps, but I can change this number. So for example, if I play 7 steps, it means that the sequence ends before the measure ends, and so it will start again while I'm still in the first measure, and this creates a sort of movement of the sequence which is no more synced to the measures that I'm playing. Let's check it out. You can see it keeps changing, but I can make it even shorter. I can also do it on the offset. I can do it on the chance, so we can get a bit of randomness here. It's not random because at a certain point things will repeat as they were the first time, but of course the more I change on each row, the more it will take to play again the same sequence. Of course, I can record the MIDI of this and then select a part that I like, change the notes that I don't like. So just keep in mind that these devices are made to generate ideas, but you can always change what you get and make it better. Now let's move to the second device, to Polyloop. So as I said, Polyloop is a sequencer, so it's not an arpeggiator. So it means that you don't have to input a note for it to play, but it plays note by itself. The difference compared to the previous sequencers that Alex Kidd made is that this one is polyphonic, so it means that it can play more than one note at a time. So let's have a look at the interface. I have here a simple FM piano. So we have the gate row, the pitch A, the velocity A, and the length of the note. Why it says A and not B? So it's not the probabilistic sequencer where we had pitch A and pitch B. It says A because if you go here, you can see we have 4 layers, layer A, B, C, D. So these are 4 completely independent sequences that we can generate and that they can play all together. When the steps overlaps, it will play 2 or more notes at a time. So let's start to randomize a little bit. I always like to use these devices by starting with randomizing the steps. So simply, let's start changing the notes. As you can see, I'm using layer A and you see the activity on this layer. You can here select a range so it doesn't move too much in the octaves. So I could select here from 14 or 13. So it keeps being ho ho ho. Let's start to now introduce a new layer. So same thing, randomize here, randomize here. We can also randomize the length in this case if we want. So this is the new sequence, but on top of the other one. So let's randomize again the steps and see. There we go. Let's shorten a little bit these notes. Maybe we take down a little bit the maximum value here. And consider you can go up to 4 layers and then maybe you can decide which one you like the most. So let's try to introduce another one. I don't like this high note, so I can either take it down or switch off the steps. So you can generate sort of rhythmic sequences to add that background, you know, movement or background rhythm, but with a musical instrument. That's something that I really like to do in my tracks. Also here you can introduce the polyrhythmic effect, changing the number of steps. So we can go 6 here, we can go 7 here. There we go. And as you can see, all of the sequences are independent. So if I change the number of steps on layer C, layer B, it's still as it was. So I can do a different value here. You can record this. And then you can decide if you want to keep just a short part, if you want to change some of the notes. So as you could see, quickly we got to a decent idea that probably will set the direction of this remix that I'm doing. Two very simple yet powerful and inspiring devices. They are not expensive at all. You can get them, both of them together, for 15 euros these days during the Black Friday deal. The normal price is 20 euros. This week we will have on my Patreon Alex Kidd as a guest during our monthly Zoom call. He will go in depth on the devices, showing us the advanced features. So if you wanna be part of the Zoom call, join the Patreon, link in the description. And yeah, I hope you liked the video, I hope you got inspired, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.